A tissue and a cigarette with human DNA was found near Nicky's body. Hi guys, welcome back. So today is Tuesday, so that means it's True Murder Tuesday. Now this is my first official True Murder Tuesday video. I did upload one last week, but it was on Wednesday because I decided on the Wednesday it was going to be True Murder Tuesday. So this is the first proper official video. Now if you'd like to stay tuned for my series every Tuesday, then please hit the subscribe button, as I will be uploading this every single Tuesday. Now without further ado, let's get into today's video. Now today's video is on the death of Nicky Verstappen. On Saturday the 8th of August 1998, Nicky and 36 other children took the bus to take part in a children's summer camp being held on the camping ground. He was only 11 years old at the time. It doesn't state his date of birth, but he went missing in 1998 at 11 years old. So his year of birth is 1987. 2 days after arriving at the camp on the 10th of August 1998, Nicky went missing. He was last seen alive at about 5:30 a.m. on the 10th of August by a tent mate. Later that morning, it was discovered that Nicky was no longer in his sleeping bag. The only thing left in the tent were his shoes. On the 11th of August, police and volunteers conducted a search to find Nicky. Unfortunately, at around 9 p.m. on that evening, Nicky's body was found and he was naked from the waist up. His body was found in Landgraf, less than a mile away from the campsite. The body did show signs of sexual assault, but his post-mortem didn't clearly clarify his cause of death. A tissue and a cigarette with human DNA was found near Nicky's body, and they took this DNA and completed a profile. Joss Barton, the founder of the camp that Nicky and the other children were attending, was questioned extensively by the police. Joss was a former head teacher at a local primary school in the area and had previous convictions for child sexual abuse, and admitted that he was near Nicky's tent at around 6 a.m. During the search, Joss kept pointing in particular directions, and when they found Nicky's body, it was in the direction that he was pointing towards. So the evidence was starting to stack up pretty significantly for him. A 15-year-old girl who attended the teenagers camp a few days earlier suspected that she was also sexually assaulted by Joss Barton, but none of the camp staff was officially labelled a suspect. There was a reward of $25,000 for any information leading to the conviction of who killed Nicky. This was then doubled to $50,000 in 1999. Following a lack of leads, unfortunately, the investigation just went cold. They just had nothing to go on to find Nicky's killer. A new team of investigators took over this case between 2000 and 2001. Between 2001 and 2007, a sex offender from Kirkrade was in and out of police custody. A number of witnesses claimed to have seen him in and about the campsite at around the 10th of August, the day Nicky went missing. He then died in 2007. They also linked the case with a German serial killer, Martin Ney, who killed 3 boys between 1992 and 2001. 7 or 8 letters were written by an anonymous person that were found on a monument of Nicky back in 2005. A lot of the time in these cases, these letters are just fake and it's just somebody having a joke as they see it, but it's not a joke. It's not a joke at all. It's just sick. The family are going through all of that distress and grief, and somebody thinks it's funny to write letters claiming to be the killer. These were found between 2005 and July of 2006. In January 2007, a 36-year-old man was arrested in suspicion that he wrote those letters. He was released 2 weeks later, but then rearrested back in December for vandalising the monument. 1 month later, he was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment for the vandalism. The monument was then vandalised again in April 2008, August 2013 and April 2019. Who would vandalise a monument of a boy who died? Like, it's there for his memory. Going back a bit, between December 1999 and January 2000, 35 men took part in a DNA test, but none of the DNA samples matched the DNA they found at the crime scene. In 2010, they then took DNA samples from a further 80 men whose DNA again did not match. In November 2010, Joss Barton, the founder of the campsite, died, so then they took his DNA from his body to compare it of that of what they found at the crime scene, but it did not match. In January 2018, coming up to the 20th year of Nicky's murder, it was announced that 21,500 men in the Limburg area would be asked to give samples of their DNA in an attempt to trace Nicky's killer. The DNA screening program took place between February and June, and with a total of 15,000 samples collected, which is the largest number in Dutch history. On 22nd of August 2018, it was announced that DNA samples from the belongings and relatives of a 55-year-old man, Joseph Johannes, matched the DNA found on Nicky's clothing. Joseph had been missing from his home since April 2018 and denied any DNA sampling that was requested from him in the DNA sample search that they did to find his killer. His family also would not cooperate with DNA sampling. They could trace the killer with DNA sampling from a family, a relative, but him and his family did not cooperate with the police whatsoever. Joseph had a history of sexually abusing children, and it is known that he was near the campsite on the day that Joseph was killed. At the time, it was believed that he was just a passerby and not actually on the campsite ground, so he was ruled out as a suspect. On August 26th, the police located and arrested him in Spain. The trial began on the 28th of September 2020 and lasted 3 weeks. Joshua pleaded not guilty of all the accusations made against him. Joshua said that on the 11th of August 1998, he believes that his DNA ended up on Nicky's body because he was walking as a passerby and saw something in the distance. When he went to go check it out, he said he saw Nicky's body. He then checked to see if Nicky was breathing or had any life in him, and when he realised that there wasn't, he just walked away. Like, how can you think that the court is going to believe that? Like, if you see a dead body, you call the police. It makes absolutely no sense. It is stated that he left the body and didn't do anything about it or called the police because of his previous convictions. Still though, you don't leave a dead body of an 11-year-old boy. The prosecution contested against Joseph's statements, as it was proven with pictures in court that the distance between where he claims he was standing and where Nicky's body was found, it was not possible to have seen the body from where he was standing. So they just completely debunked his statement. The prosecution deemed Joseph's statement as wafer thin and unbelievable, saying that they believed that he kidnapped Nicky, sexually abused him, and then murdered him. And even though they couldn't determine the cause of death, Nicky was a young and healthy boy. Therefore, his cause of death had to be a murder. There was no way that he could have died from natural causes. It just wasn't plausible. On the 8th of October, the prosecution requested a 15-year prison sentence and compulsory treatment, or 18 years imprisonment if the court decided that the treatment was unnecessary. They then found out that Joseph had possession of child pornography. On the 20th of November 2020, the court found Joseph guilty of kidnapping, sexual assault and murder, saying that there was multiple counts of DNA found on Nicky's body that belonged to Joseph, to which were found on Nicky's underwear. The court also took into consideration Joseph's previous convictions of child sexual assault. They believe Joseph accidentally killed him by restraining him to try and rape him. In conclusion to the prosecution, Joseph only got 12 years. I mean, that's just not long enough. He should have at least life in prison. His lawyer then announced that they were going to try to appeal the verdict. I don't know how the lawyer could back somebody up where there's clear evidence that this man had killed this child and also raped him. Like, how can you defend somebody like that? So in conclusion, Joseph Brech is now in prison for the murder, kidnapping and rape of Nicky Verstappen. My heart goes out to his family, and although it's been 22 years, the family finally have some closure and relief that the man who did this is now behind bars. But as I said, 12 years is not long enough. He should have got life. Thank you to everyone again for watching. If you do like these sorts of videos, then please hit the subscribe button, and remember, I will be doing True Murder Tuesdays every Tuesday. I also do various other videos like mysterious disappearances, story times, and I'm also working on some other content that will be coming out soon. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.